Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. That card just popped out. I've been thinking this is going to be a reading on Trump's tariffs. Another card popping out. So, at some time around noon Pacific time, Trump backed off on his reciprocal tariffs, basically saying that he's putting a 90-day pause on tariffs. It's unclear why. He said, well, 75 countries reached out to me to renegotiate things, so he's going to pause on those tariffs. Although it's unclear what pausing means. It sounds like one hand you think pause means he's not going to put them. On another one, he's saying they're all going to get 10% tariffs, including the penguins, except for China, which is going to get like 150% tariffs or something like that. Belle of the Ranch had a video up today briefly discussing Trump's about face. I believe there's going to be another one. I record this on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. She might have another one that comes up tonight, but I would suspect if it doesn't go up tonight, it'll be one of the ones that go up first thing in the morning, discussing the tariffs and the bond market. And she did hyperlink a video that was put up in January of this year, talking about the bond market. And I think she was referring to James Carville and saying if he was ever reincarnated, he wants to be reincarnated as the bond market. The bond market's what forced Bill Clinton into making certain economic decisions, and it looks like it's what's forcing Trump to back off on his tariffs. I don't pretend to understand the bond market. I've tried reading on it a little bit, and it's just, yeah, I'm not getting it. But long and short of it, the way it was described, Japan. Again, this is hearsay. I don't have a good source for this one, so consider it to be an amusing story, which may or may not be true. As Trump was negotiating with countries, I guess Japan started selling off U.S. treasuries or U.S. Treasury bonds. It's basically Treasury bonds are buying United States debt. And all of a sudden, Japan didn't think owning the United States debt was a good idea anymore. It wasn't going to be lucrative, so they started dumping it. And because Japan started dumping U.S. Treasury bonds, that sent a panic through the Trump regime, and they had to respond by suspending the tariffs to placate Japan, who owns a lot of the debt of the United States. You know who owns also a lot? China. So the bond market has often been described as really, what do they say? The analogy was the bond market is the crystal ball for the stock market. I forget what the stock market is, but basically the bond market's the foundation. And the bond market was grumpy and was biting back, and that ended these shenanigans here for at least 90 days. Intellectual David doesn't see Trump doing much more with this. This is kind of like the, I told you I was going to do it type of thing. This gun's loaded and you shoot randomly, and, you get people understanding that you're just crazy enough to use the gun that you got in your hand. This is why we can't let him anywhere near the nuclear codes for the same reason. So if you think about it, what did we just go through for the last week? Little penis energy from Donald Trump. He had to prove he was a big, tough man, stand up to China, throw the world order into turmoil, destroy trading partner relationships that the U.S. has fostered over 100 years plus. Who's going to trust us anymore? We've got this guy, this crazy old man who'll just do random stuff and just send the world markets into turmoil. The first thought that came to mind for me was, this is market manipulation 101, through and through. Talking with a coworker, I do think that as he negotiates with these other countries, he's going to want them to buy his crypto, which is just basically a way, the way his coin is set up, it's basically a way to bribe Donald Trump. because you get nothing of value for buying the coin. So what is it other than a bribe? I'll agree not to raise these tariffs if you agree to lower some stuff and send me buy $10 million of my crypto coin. That kind of thing. Because it's a grift. Everything with Donald Trump is a grift. So I want to read on the energy around Donald Trump and his announcement that he's suspending tariffs. I already have 2 foundation cards, and we'll add a third one to it because 2 cards popped out as I was doing this. So come on down. This will be for entertainment purposes only. But first card that came out was the 6 of coins. The wealthy people keeping the money up top and giving a pittance to the people below it. And then the Hermit card, which could be like, well, what happens if we mess with the monetary supply? Let's see what happens when we do that. The other meaning for this is the F around and find out, which is kind of the same thing. What if we put a stranglehold on the money? And it's like the faucet's up here, and now you've cut it down to a trickle. Your trickle-down economics. Truly a trickle. What happens if we try and do something like that again? What are going to be the consequences of it? And then there's the agreements. So, as driven by Peter Navarro, the Green Bay sweep insurrectionist who spent 4 months in prison not because he wouldn't talk to the January 6th committee, and the champion of tariffs, including making his own expert pseudonym to praise his genius, is involved in all this. What's the challenge? The Chariot. I think what happened was things started spinning out of control. When you try to manipulate the market, you might think that you can control things, but these things, I believe, started spinning out of control. They didn't see Japan selling off bonds, and they could see where that was going. Or he had enough people with financial sense that got through to people that Trump will listen to, saying, you got to put a stop to this. And that could just be wealthy people over here saying, you got to put a stop to this. Underneath it all is the 7 of Wands, just fighting and trying to press on. Trump doesn't want to stop. Him stopping was probably against his better judgment. Again, because he sort of, what seems to be coming out now is that Trump did this all for posturing so that he could look like he's stronger than China. Like he's a tough guy. China's not backing down with their tariffs either. So I don't know what we're all gaining from this here. In the past, you got the 6 of Cups. Trump's naive. He's just not smart. And, he's easily convinced. If he already believes something, it doesn't take much to convince him to take radical action because he's already 99% of the way there. All you have to do is say, this will be brilliant, and everybody's going to think you're a genius, and then that's pretty much all you need. Current situation is the 4 of Wands. To me, this was the opening of tariffs and this whole starting of process. But right now we're in a pause on this one. But it's a pause of 90 days. So the threat is still there. Maybe this is going to be his negotiations that he's now, come on in, let's negotiate. Come on in. We could be friends. We were friends before. We could be friends again after all this. Pausing it will allow for the global markets to calm down for a bit going forward. I think, again, things were out of control. The water was too choppy. They were taking water on the boat. They had to do something to calm things down and get back into the world community here. Lesson be learned, Page of Swords. They don't know what they're doing. They are absolute rookies at this. They have nary a clue of what they're doing or how to do it. And their ineptitude's been put on display for the whole world to see. Outcome is the King of Pentacles. I would imagine some wealthy people weren't happy with this. I imagine that some wealthy people in the know make a nice little bit of money on there, and Donald Trump's going to enrich himself. Which, by the way, I want to point out, apparently, I didn't confirm this. I'll go check in a second. Let me go check now, actually, and then I can give you something that may not be rumor. Confirmed. Again, I record this at a little after 6 p.m. Pacific time. It says this post on Truth Social was made 11 hours ago, so about 7 in the morning Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Eastern time on April 9th. Donald Trump put up a Truth Social post that says, "Now's a great time to buy into the stock market." And then a couple hours later, he announces he's pulling the tariffs. Market manipulation much? Good heavens. I mean, think about it. If you had gone into cash and, you're in cahoots with Trump and he'll give you the signal and he does it publicly like that, time to buy, and you dump your cash into the market and all of a sudden the market, he gives you 4 hours to do that, then announces that the tariffs are being suspended, and the market goes up 9.5%, 10% on that news. What do you think? That sound like market manipulation to you? Make an instant 9 to 10% on your investment? All right, let's look into that. Is this market manipulation? I mean, it is. It absolutely is. What's the point of this whole experiment? Why did we go through this whole experiment? Why did we say tariffs were here? Why did we crash the stock market by 15%? It was all these reasons. Well, it's going to bring jobs back. It's going to help pay down the debt. It's going to help fund this tax break. It's going to teach China a lesson. It's going to, make America great again and be prosperous for people. And we'll get rid of income tax with it. Depending who you talk to, you get 4 different people, 4 different answers in the Trump administration. In the end of the day, what did we get? Nothing. Turmoil. Just absolute gut-wrenching turmoil for a week. And in the process, destroying the U.S.'s reputation along with it. For what? If Trump's not making profits off this, this makes no sense whatsoever. So, sorry, I tend to think of him making profits off this, but what was the point? What was the whole point of this last week? What was the whole point of this? That 7 of coins, that 7 of rods, same thing that was underneath there. Trump trying to make him look like he's a strong fighter. Reputational. He's trying to build a reputation. And cross with the Hermit card. Yeah, you gotta show everybody what a strong fighter you are. That you're fearless. You'll take on the world in a fight. And underneath it all, it's like, and how can I make money while doing it? Again, 50. It was 50 countries the other day, and it's up to 70 countries now, all wanting to negotiate with him. And Donald Trump has crypto in his name that offers whoever buys it absolutely nothing other than some voting right in some company that is associated with the crypto. And the article even said the investment opportunities with it are unknown at this point. It's like we basically saying we don't know why this thing exists. Well, now I know why, because it's a bribe. In the past, Queen of Wands. In this case, this is kind of like a short-sighted action being taken. But what happens if we do this? Let's just find out. Why did we go through this? The world was definitely impacted by it. And now he's waiting for the world to come to him. Because he's the Mad King. And he's going to be quiet for a while. He's going to lay low for a while here. But it's about money. Underneath it all, it's about money. And again, I think Cash Peters had a video that came up that I listened to today where he was suggesting Trump's worried about his legacy. I mean, that could possibly be it. We all know he wants that Nobel Peace Prize. But and that the world economy and everything was done by Trump and everything was great. I don't know. Possible? Sure, why not? But in this case, money. Money and reputation. He's trying to cement a mythology about himself and make money on the side. Oh, jeez, I hate to ask this. What will be the consequences to the United States because of this? And by the way, for my Canadian friends, my Australian friends, my friends in the EU, even with this pausing of tariffs, I would recommend you continue to boycott purchasing American products. Basically, until this regime is out and some severe changes have been made to the American Congress, America is corrupt. It just is. It's just rotted, and I wouldn't trust the United States. Now, you can make exceptions for individuals in the United States, but as a country, as a trading partner, I wouldn't trust them. I hope Canada continues to boycott American products in the U.S. Excuse me, because that's what we deserve. While we've got this administration in place and the craziness that's going on, and the Senate and the Congress that support it, do not trust the government of the United States right now. They are not worth your trust. And I hate to say that. It sounds traitorous to say that. But I would rather you understand where I'm coming from, and you will probably see a bunch of the comments in there if this becomes a thread in there from Americans who would back that up right now. When Gary and I were live with medium Sheila, she had a sign. It's like, are we great again? Because right now I'm feeling really embarrassed. That pretty much sums it up. Just hugely embarrassed for this country. By the way, thank you for all folks who have checked out Medium Sheila's page and subscribed to her videos and watched her Trump health video. Looking at the subscriber numbers, it looks like she almost quadrupled her subscribers. So that's awesome. Thank you. I want to thank our community for reaching out and embracing our members. She was active before I was. She had me back when she had like a couple 3,000, and I was maybe 1,000, 1,500 subs. She had me on her show, and it helps me along. So it was nice to give her a big push on the swing to get her channel up and running again. Okay. Lessons, or what's next for the U.S. What's next for the U.S. economy, what's next? What's coming next for the U.S. economic-wise because of all this? For Carter. No, I think I'll do the full thing. That's worth it. There's a walking away. I think the world's turning their back on us because we still don't know what we're doing. Well, right now they're walking away from the tariff things again. But the problem is the morons are still in charge. This might be quieted for now, but the morons are in charge. And they're still trying to figure out a way to keep the money with the wealthy people here. There's a victory in that the tariffs were stopped. So we can look at that as a victory. But there's just this egotistical nature of this current administration on that. I had another translation for that card. I can't remember what I was. I really do need to write these things down. What's next for the U.S. current situation? Queen of Pentacles. I think they're gonna have to kind of focus on the budget and cut it, and they're gonna try and cut spending. Although apparently that's in deep trouble in Congress. There's about 10 Republicans who don't want to support the House spending bill. So now we've got the budget on our mind here. Queen of Cups. Emotions are running high. Things are in check right now, but they could we're at a boiling point in the U.S. That's why these protests are so good, because it gives us a way to express ourselves. But they're trying to keep a cap on things. Money's going to get tighter in the U.S. The economy is going to be shrinking. Again, because you screwed up the trading partners. It's going to be spending cuts. Again, there's going to be a focus on money and things getting tighter. Either our economy's going down, or they're also trying to get this budget through. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, they're holding on to the tariffs now. They could come back. We're proceeding down a karmic path. I am not thrilled with this karmic path, but apparently that's what it looks like we're going down here. I got nothing. Okay, I just want a 4-carder. Spirit, what else can you share with us? Just 4 carders. What else can you share with us with regards to the U.S. tariffs, the economy, what's coming down the pike for us? Messaging. It's just emotionally exhausted trying to keep up with all this. This would have been one of those great times where you're on vacation for a week and completely oblivious to the turmoil. You know what I mean? What? No, I didn't listen to the news for the last week. I was in Hawaii. Why? Something happened? Because literally we're almost back to where we started. 1 or 2 good days in the stock market, we literally are right back where we started. 4-carder. What's the spiritual lesson from all this? Heartbreak and betrayal. This is not done for our best interests. The Magician, it's all an illusion. It's delusional. Illusions and delusions. It's done for... this betrayal is not helping folk, the common people in the U.S. This is helping other relationships. But it's the common folks that are going to have to bear the burden on this. It's a betrayal and a burden, because the man is crazy. He's got illusions he's trying to prop up, trying to say, yeah, this is kind of like setting up that mythology. This is all Trump's ego. You know, we all manifest the world we live in, apparently, but Trump seems to have usurped all the manifestation parts, and it's like the Matrix, and we're all stuck in his Matrix. Let me out. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.